If a dude does not explicitly say, I want to be your boyfriend, then he does not want to be your boyfriend. And I'm sorry to have to break it to you. Hello, my beautiful, talented, amazing girls, gays, and theys. Today's video is a little bit of a sit down video where I'm gonna be discussing the harsh reality of situationships. Before I get started, please make sure that you are subscribed to me. You can turn on the little notification bell so that you know whenever I'm posting. It is on Sundays, typically at 4 o'clock. Sometimes it's a little later if I have plans, because uploading is a whole process and ritual. You can also follow me on Instagram, TikTok, and Twitter if you want to get inside my mind to learn what's going on in the little noggin of mine. So yes, situationships. We've all been there. If you're watching this video, you've probably been there. And if you haven't been in this situation, situationship. So a situationship is that infamous talking stage when sometimes you just have not established that you are in a talking stage. You're just kind of in a weird standoff. We're friends, but we're not, because you do this and we do this. There's more chemistry. There's something, and like, I know, I can feel it. We've all been there. We've all not known where we stand with certain people, especially when it comes to anything that is relationship related, romantically related, or just good on casual fun. One thing to note whenever you are entering any relationship, whether it is a situationship, any connection with someone that feels that it's more than just a friendship, please note that you are bringing your own baggage from whatever previous relationship you were in into the next one. It's a natural human thing that you're inevitably going to do. You can't avoid it unless you're consciously aware of this fact. This is really, really important to understand, because if you are not aware of this fact, you are going to get yourself hurt. We all have our own love languages. We all were treated certain ways in relationships that we have had with other people. That being said, sometimes cuddling may indicate that someone wants to be romantically involved with you and that it's not just platonic. That's not always the case. That goes for kissing or anything, whether they're complimenting you or calling you baby or boo or whatever. Sometimes what your definition of what it means to be in a relationship is reflected in something that someone else deems as platonic. You guys are going to have two different definitions of things because we're all different people. We all have different relationships. We all love differently. So if someone seems that they like want to be romantically involved with you and you're like, but they did this and this and this and this and this, and then they're like, what? Like, that's not true. And don't get me wrong, because gaslighting is real. More times than not, it's really just like you want something different than someone else because your love languages are different. But sometimes men are afraid of commitment and they're gonna pretend that what they were doing was completely platonic, when in reality, they are just afraid to commit or don't know what they want, or for whatever reason, they don't want to be with you. Another thing I want to mention is the phrase actions speak louder than words. That is a gray statement, and it's very tricky. It's a tricky concept to wrap your head around, because naturally we want to say actions speak louder than words. So-and-so was cuddling with me, so that means he cares about me. So-and-so did this, so-and-so did that. Okay, But what you perceive as a relationship and as romantic, someone else might not see it that way, which is why I say words are also very, very important. The verbal establishment of your situationship speaks much louder than these actions that you are perceiving as romantic, and that is something that is very tricky. I mean that with no ill will, because this is honestly something that I have had to learn as well, because I too have perceived a guy cuddling with me or like seeming like they're flirting with me when we just said we wanted to casually date, where I thought that it was something more because of actions speaking louder than words. However, that saying is the case with the exception of the verbal establishment of what your relationship is. If a dude does not explicitly say, I want to be your boyfriend, then he does not want to be your boyfriend. And I'm sorry to have to break it to you. Like, it sucks. It sucks because it's like, but you did this and this and this and this. That doesn't matter. Why doesn't it matter? Because people have different definitions of what a relationship entails. If you tell someone we are friends with benefits, you are friends with benefits, regardless, unless they say otherwise, and unless you say otherwise, where in that case, you'll have a conversation about that, decide what to do with that information, which is why communication is such key. And it's actually good practice because communication is really important for relationships anyways. You can't just pay attention to someone's actions and then just roll with it and be like, well, this is how I was treated in my other relationship, so that means that every other relationship is going to be exactly the same. We naturally bring our baggage into these relationships because we want to prove to ourselves that we've learned a lesson here. We have experienced, so we're going to take anything we've learned, the good and the bad, and just roll with it. That's why we're going to bring our baggage, and that's why we're going to perceive certain things as more than they are. Now listen, some men are sneakier than others. It is not just that he texts you only at 4 a.m. Some men are smarter than that and are gonna put a little bit more effort to like keep you around for the attention or whatever there is they're trying to use you for. They're a little more clever. They're gonna tell you things you want to hear, like I love you, and you're gonna wonder, is this platonic? What does this mean? You're gonna be searching around in circles, playing freaking Tetris, trying to figure out what someone is trying to say, when, as I mentioned, the verbal establishment of what your situationship is what your situationship is, which is why I say do not reward minimal effort, because if someone is not explicitly telling you what they want, then they're really not worth your time. And it's a hard truth to accept, but you're gonna be better off if some guy is putting in minimal effort for you, or they ghost you and then all of a sudden out of the blue are like, hey, and they're like back in your life. That's big toxic energy. And it's really because men will always see women as objects. It's in their nature. It's the patriarchy. That's a whole other video. They see us as little trophies on their shelf. And when the gold trophy is getting a little bit dusty, they're like, hey, let me go to the silver. The silver is you. Or maybe you're bronze. Or girl, maybe you're the damn participation medal. I know I have been. But it's okay, because these men are really just like not as great as they make themselves seem. I know this person seems like the most perfect person and like you're scared no one is like gonna fall for you again. No, the right person is going to fall for you, and the right person isn't gonna allow you to play Tetris because they're gonna care about you. They're gonna say, I'm not gonna put her in a position where she has to guess where we stand and where she has to try and interpret my cryptic messages. Like, the right person isn't gonna do that. So once you realize that the right person isn't going to do that, it really just like narrows down everything, and you find yourself not searching and like dying for a relationship and like dying to be with someone, because you're like, well, I'm fine. I know the right person is going to come and it's going to be crystal clear and I'm not going to get hurt. Unless you get gaslit, but that's a whole other video. You can't let people treat you like garbage because they were nice to you once, because they complimented you when you had a bad day. Really? You have friends for that. And if you don't have friends for that, you have yourself and you have your spirit guides. So, yikes. Honestly, the really big takeaway here is if he wanted to, he would. It doesn't get much further than that. And also, sometimes he's just not that into you. And it's not personal. Please do not take any of these things personally, because sometimes people don't know what they want, or like maybe you're just not their type. Okay? Move on. Like, you're not their type. They don't want you. At least you want you, and you're gonna find someone else who wants you as well. Like, seriously, don't reward minimal effort, and don't let this be something that like ruins your day or like ruins the rest of your life. Like, no, you should be happy to walk away from situations like this where you're not being treated fairly, because you owe it to yourself. The last thing I want to leave you with is just knowing to prioritize your needs over anything else. And that's over suffering, over crying. If someone is making you suffer and cry, then they're not the right person. And that's something that we know in theory, but in practice it's hard, because as I said, some of these men are very, very sneaky, and they know how to they know your weak spots, especially if you've been talking to them for a very long time. They have a handle of the types of messages that make you happy, or things that they do or say, and it becomes easier and easier for them to manipulate you and take advantage of you. And it really sucks, and it's horrible that these men are like this, but it's unfortunately the world that we live in, and not all of them are bad.
Hi, little podcast moment. So, I also want to say, I'm not giving you a little pick me mindset, like, oh, not all men are trash. No, they all are trash, as a species, and they really freaking suck. But I'm telling you that there are some good ones out there. But when I say this, don't take that as an invitation to settle for minimal effort and for bad behavior. I don't want you to reward bad behavior. I don't want you to give someone credit because they're a little less horrible than the previous person that you were involved with. You have to be with someone who doesn't feel like, oh, I'm settling because I'm not going to end up with the love of my life, and true love is fake, and blah 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 blah. No. Be with someone who lights you up and makes you the happiest person on the planet. Don't settle for these people that you simply feel bad for, and that you're their therapist and you're the mommy, because that's not your job. Someone's issues are not your responsibility, and it's not your responsibility to fix a broken man, especially since they think with their dicks as opposed to thinking with their heads. Okay? They're not even using logic. So I wouldn't give him a chance. I wouldn't wait for someone to change and settle because I'm lonely. Absolutely not. Be with someone who is not going to make you feel hurt, who's not going to put you in a position where you have to question who you are, and who's not going to outright embarrass you. Okay?
The right person will come. Don't be sad because someone doesn't want you. Who cares? I want you. Is this me flirting? And honestly, I'm not in a relationship right now, and I'm not really mad about it. I was so sad about it for a lot of the pandemic, and then I think for a few months. But honestly, it's really not all that. I know the right person is coming, so I'm not really tripping or searching or waiting. But what I appreciate now is that I know that if I'm trying to interpret someone's mixed messages, then they're probably not the right person. Anyways, I really hope that you guys enjoyed this video. If you guys want a separate video about prioritizing your needs and how exactly to go about that, let me know. And also comment down below if you've ever been in a situationship. We would all love to learn from each other, okay? Have an amazing rest of your day. You deserve it. And please, girl, if you are trying to interpret mixed messages, I need you to leave that man right now, because it's not gonna get better. If anything, it's gonna get worse. Get well soon by Ariana Grande, okay? Bye, guys.